Good morning. My name's Carlos Sanchez. I'm the president for the Texas Public Works Association chapter of the American Public Works Association. I'd like to welcome everyone to the 2016 TPWA Conference and Equipment Show. We have a great program for you all, a great 2 days of educational tracks, exhibit presentations, tours. We just got plenty of entertainment for you all too in the evenings. And so I hope that you all get something out of this conference. You take it back with you all and share it with your staff, with the co-workers and the communities that you all serve. We ordered up some warm heat weather for you all, just so that you get a taste of our beautiful environment down here at the Rio Grande Valley here in McAllen, Texas. At this point, I'm going to ask you all to rise for the presentation of our colors, please. If you would join me with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Forward. Color. Speak. Forward. Mark. Ready. Speak. Prepare to pull the color. Hold. Color. Ready. Shoot. Present. Arm. Order. Arm. Ready. Face. Forward. Mark. Forward.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at that twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land
proud, very, very proud to say that these fine ladies and gentlemen are from the Public Works Department in the city of McAllen. So one more round of applause, please. Next, I'm going to ask you to remain standing for an invocation from Sister Norma Pimentel.
Good morning. Let us pray. Dear and wise, loving Father, on behalf of all who are gathered here today, thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our calling, for substance and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to involve in useful work, and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thanks as well for the freedom to embrace you. Thank you for loving us even so from your boundless and gracious nature. As citizens of this community, we ask that we are guided by your wisdom to obey the governing authorities, since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, I pray for all who participate in the Texas Public Works Association. I am asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and righteousness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, personal peace in their lives and joy in their task. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved community. It is in your most blessed name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Sister Pimentel. Sister Norma Pimentel has been a very important partner with Catholic Charities and the City of McAllen and the region here in dealing with the influx and immigration issues that we've experienced in the region. And so we thank Sister for being here today and sharing those kind words too. Next, I'm going to introduce our mayor, best mayor of the best city in the state of Texas, Mr. Jim Darling.
Thank you. Thank you. Y'all can sit down now. Thank you very much. Well, welcome to McAllen. We're very, very proud to serve as the host city for the Sizzling on the Tropics, the State of Public Works Association. How many here are from the McAllen? Any out there? Okay, raise your hand. How many from the Valley? Okay. So how many here are first time visiting the Valley in McAllen? Well, welcome. I think what you'll find is we have an expression now that you'll be surprised, and hopefully that you're surprised. Recently, as mentioned, we've gotten a lot of publicity about border issues, and quite frankly, some think that we're not safe and all that. I want to surprise you that we're the #1 safest city in the state of Texas. Both statistically, I think you'll find, and actually when you go out in our city. And so we hold a lot of #1 accolades, including the #1 livability community in the United States, according to CNN magazine. So hopefully that you'll find not only pleasant surprises, but a great weekend, a great week here in our city. We have a lot of restaurant venues. We have over 700 restaurant permits, so hopefully you'll hit a few of those and some of the great shopping and this great program today. You know, I think one thing I think about Public Works is probably the most taken for granted public service that we have. People in our community expect our roads to be perfect, our utilities. I always tell Mark, our Public Works Director, that every time I flush my toilet, I think of him. But not many people do that. And so, it's a job that everybody expects to be done perfectly, drainage, streets, water, sewer, public transportation, street lights and all those kind of things. And the only time we get attention is when they're not working. But most of the time, what we feel, we're very proud of our public works, and I'm sure your area is too, because they work all the time. And so we really appreciate what you do. Hope you have a great conference. Hope you come back, leave here with a lot of good ideas to take back to your city. And most of all, I want you to take back to your city and say, gee, I was McAllen, I was surprised. It's really a neat city. So hope you have a great convention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for being here, taking time out of your busy schedule, I know. Next, we have a keynote speaker, a guest speaker, Mr. Scott Grayson. If you all haven't met Scott, he's a wonderful personality. I've had the privilege to meet him yesterday. Scott has been recently named as the American Public Works Association and the Canadian Public Works Association as the new executive director. So we have a privilege of having a person that's up there with the executive board that deals with issues of our association, the American Public Works Association, here with us today to tell us a little bit about the association, the organization, and what goals, ideas that are going to be rolling out, and programs also, I guess, and that are currently in development and implemented. So please join me in welcoming Scott. Scott, thank you.
So you can put up the slides whenever you want. Good morning, everybody. I'm so glad that Carlos did not ask me to sing the Star Spangled Banner. It might have ruined your morning. But so thank you so much for having me here. Bob had reached out when it was announced that I was hired. I hadn't even started, and asked if I would come and speak here. And everyone I spoke with back at the national office said that your chapter, and I'll say this quietly so no one else hears it, is the best one around. So. And let's see, let me just, okay, the slides with the remote, oh yeah, turn it on. On is good. Let's see if it works. Okay, so whenever I hear speakers, I always want to know how long will they speak for? And when will it actually be over? So I'm going to let you know that. Bob asked me to speak for about 8 hours this morning, so I only have about 300 slides, so you don't have to worry. What we're actually going to speak about is who is this new guy anyway? That's me. What I've been working on in these last 50 days since I've started. And what has APWA done for you lately? And where are we headed? And then I want to open it up, if you can shout, and I don't know if we have mics out there, so that you can share what's on your mind. What's really important for us at the national office is hearing what's on your mind so we can better help you. So when I heard about Texas, I said, wow. You've had 5 national presidents over the years, which is amazing, and we have at least one with us in the audience. I know that Bill is here if you want to wave your hand. There he is over there. Are there other presidents? Okay, great, thanks. And then we also, by the numbers, amazingly, we've got 25 very active committees, which is somewhat unusual for a lot of the chapters around the United States. You have 9 branches, which is amazing. And then you also have 5 emerging leaders here. I've listed their names up there. Chris Peel is currently in the program. Are any of them here today? Just wave your hand. They're emerging still, I guess. Okay. And last but not least, this is an amazing number, 1,630 members. It's the largest chapter in the United States and Canada as well. So that is all of North America. Okay, so I'm going to share with you a little about where I actually came from. I spent most of my life in New York. I grew up in Manhattan, in an urban place. And then when I graduated high school, I said, now I have a chance to live someplace else and explore the rest of the United States. And New Yorkers, as you may know, are somewhat obnoxious and think the whole world revolves around anybody in New York. And my father said, why don't you apply to one of those schools someplace out there? And on a whim, I applied to Wisconsin and went and had a really great experience there. And then after that, I went back to New York. I worked on international policy at NYU. And then in the mid-'80s, I moved over to Washington, D.C. And it was in the mid-'80s that I stumbled upon a place called the American Association of Engineering Societies. And that was the umbrella for all of the other engineering societies out there. And I started working there. And then in 1990, I went to a different nonprofit that had almost 500,000 members worldwide, and they handle all technologies that don't deal with bridges and roads. And I spent about 26 years working there. In 1995, though, my wife and I were tired of the rat race in Washington, and I told them, I said, we really should let our employees utilize what our members make. And my old boss said, what are you asking me? I said, well, they make hardware, software, and internet. We should let our employees use that and live and work wherever they want. And so, long story short, they allowed me to move to where I was most recently, Minnesota. And while I was there, I ran for office, and I was on the city council in a city that borders actually Minneapolis. And it was at that point that I learned a lot about public works and really fell in love with all aspects of public works. And so as it happened, our former public works director was the one that mentioned that there was an opening here, and that with my nonprofit management background and my knowledge of public works, I really ought to apply. So I applied, and here I am. Now, what you might not know is where I was born, and you might say, who cares? But you'll see that I was born here in your state. So I wanted to share that with you. Okay, so what's happened? So they asked me to start right away mid-April. And right away I walked in the office and was told, you're meeting with our President-elect, Ron Calkins, and you'll spend the next 8 hours making national committee appointments, which helped me learn about what all of our committees were. That night, the National Finance Committee flew in from all over the United States, and we spent the next day and a half working on budgets. After that ended Saturday afternoon, I flew to Ottawa, where I met with the Canadian Public Works Board up there. And we also met with members of Parliament up there who manage public works and infrastructure. Which was a really great meeting. They've got a lot of money up there right now to pour into public works. And I'll speak more later about what's happening in the United States in terms of government. But the United States could really learn a lot from what's happening up there, I would say. We also met with a group called IFME. They're the International Federation of Municipal engineers, and they bring a wealth of knowledge about what's happening in infrastructure and public works from Australia and Europe as well. And then I was in our office in Washington. I spent a week there. Okay, there we go. And then from there, I was up at the Minnesota Spring meeting, and then Washington once more for National Public Works Week. And so I had only been on the job about a week, and I rolled into Washington, and they said, okay, we're having a news conference out on the streets of Washington. We're launching National Public Works Week, and we're also launching it with the Great Graffiti Wipeout, which was a project that Washington was working on. And from there, I went to Capitol Hill, and our great Washington staff organized a roundtable discussion with the ranking senator on public works and infrastructure, Senator Inhofe. We had the Undersecretary of Transportation, who's managing and implementing all what's known as the FAST Act. And so they said, okay, Scott, you're moderating this discussion. So the night prior to that, I stayed up all night and I read the bill, so I knew what was actually in it. And it went extremely well. We held this up at the U.S. Capitol. And I've got some pictures. This was us out in the middle of the street in Washington. And their plan is to wipe out illegal graffiti and create murals. Actually have spaces where these artists' work can be put to great use. And so the man speaking right there is a man named Chris Shorter, who is the brand new DC Public Works Director. And he actually does not have a background in public works at all, but he's really eager to learn. And he's signed up with us, and he's eager to work with TPWA. And then the end of that week was our snow conference, and I stumbled upon him up there. This is a picture of the discussion we had up on Capitol Hill. And then lastly is a collage of what happened around Canada and the United States. This year was an incredible year, and I know your state and your chapter was extremely active in this as well. And I don't know if you can read those numbers on that graphic, but Twitter has really exploded. I know a lot of you are using that in public works. We jumped from last year in posts by almost 580%, and we had 8.1 million posts. Amazing. So that we were all shocked about that. And then lastly, in May, as I mentioned, I was up at our snow conference in Hartford, Connecticut, which was a great experience. Having lived 21 years in Minnesota, I love snow, or I should love snow after all those years. Just last week, we had our board of directors meeting in Florida, and here I am now. So I'm going to hop right in to what are we working on at the national level, and what kind of impact will it have on all of you. Some of you may be aware of every program I'll speak about, and others might know only portions of it. And you can raise your hand as I'm speaking and ask me whatever you want. So some of you are probably aware that we have 3 different certification options. We also have credentialing options as well. And a lot of that, all of it is explained more on our web page. But I know last night and also this morning I've spoken with a lot of you who have really taken great advantage of these programs. We also have accreditation as well, and as you can see, Right now, we have over 100 cities who have already run through the program. Everyone I've spoken with over these last 5 years who have experienced it said it is a lot of work, but it's really worth it because you walk away really learning and understanding where your strengths and your weaknesses are. Okay, so we also have a program that focuses on sustainability. We have a very active group there right now, and by the end of August, they're launching a new resources web page that will be a lot more interactive. So watch for that. Just a little more about what's happening up in Canada. So we've got a very active group up there. Have any of you here ever interacted with any of them? Canadians up there. They're extremely active. There are 9 chapters up there, and each one is very active. And a lot of their work focuses on advocacy work, on really speaking with the ministries of infrastructure, the Parliament, the House of Commons. And as I mentioned, we had meetings there. And with its new government right now, they have a new one in power. There's just so much money out there. And what they're really speaking about is, yes, we have a lot of money for public works and infrastructure, but we want to use it as wisely as possible. And so a lot of you are aware of asset management. And Canada is looking at implementing one standard for an asset management tool that every municipality would use. And the issue was raised, well, some of our cities are really small. We may only have one public works employee. How do you expect us to handle that? And they said, we'll pay to give you more employees if you need it. So they really want to have one so that when they're spending their money, they spend it wisely, but also so they can compare apples and apples. Okay, so government relations and advocacy. We've got a great staff in Washington. We've got 5 staff there, all very experienced people who have worked on Capitol Hill, who know how it works up there. And we work on issues, obviously, at the federal level, but we're happy to work with you on issues at the state level as well. And our staff is willing to come out and meet with your groups as well and help work with you. I know in my old line of work, I would head out and speak with groups as well. And the reaction was often, well, you know, who am I to speak with my member of Congress? I'm only one person. They really want to hear from you even more than from a national organization, because you are the ones that put them back in office every other year. So we're happy to come out here and run workshops on how you interact with them, how you write letters as well. So some of the issues that we focus on at a high level are these issues. We obviously care deeply about funding for infrastructure. What I know and what I knew as having been on a council is that it's not always politically sexy to approve ripping up streets and replacing pipes underneath it. Residents want swimming pools, community centers, and so we really make an effort at getting elected leaders to understand that if you don't start working on these issues now, it will all fall apart all at once. And amazingly, Congress, as you watch them and you hear what's happening in Washington, they actually agree on this issue, that infrastructure is very important and we have to handle it. They don't always agree on how to implement that. And so what I can share with you is that our staff, working with Hill staff and members of Congress, has got a Public Works and Infrastructure caucus started. And we were able to launch that and announce that during National Public Works Week. Now, what that actually is a group of as many members of Congress as want to sign up and work on that issue. They don't create legislation out of it, they don't pass any laws out of it, but it creates a group that's willing to speak about these issues. And better yet, it is, since everybody now knows that we were the group that helped start it, it allows us access. And so at the round table that we had, we told them, we are here to help you. We are the experts in this area. So members of Congress will want us in Washington speaking with them about what's actually happening out there. And so we have up on our web page right now an action alert urging all of you to reach your members of Congress and ask them to sign up here. You can actually reach out, and I've reached mine, and he said, sure, okay, I'm in. So it's actually much, much easier. In a short story, I was at the board meeting last week, and our President-elect Ron Calkins said, you know, I don't have a lot of government relations experience, but I wrote my member of Congress to sign up here. And he made this announcement at the board meeting that morning. In the afternoon, he announced, I got an email, my member of Congress is now in. She responded to me and has signed up. So it's really doable. So where are we headed? And this is, you know, I want your input on where we should head. But what I think we all realize is that the younger generation is entering the workforce now. And so we as an organization have to embrace that, have to understand it, and engage students and young professionals as well. I want to show you a short video that illustrates what's happening out there in the workforce right now. Are you able to run the video?
So, marathon industry. Give me a breakdown.
It's a B2B company that provides cloud storage for Fortune 500 companies.
Chet, what did the market research turn out?
What? Oh, I Googled them, but the results were weird.
You didn't use the market research database that we spend thousands of dollars a month on, and that you were specifically trained to use.
I quit. This job is different than I thought it would be.
Stop. Does this situation look familiar? A new type of worker has entered the workforce. They're called millennials. They're terrible. Today, I'm going to teach you all about this new breed of worker so you can avoid misunderstandings in which you feel the need to fire them immediately. In the first reimagination we just saw, Mary makes the classic mistake of not reassuring Chet while offering overflowing amounts of praise.
Chet, you were so smart to use Google. That's the perfect way to start the research. You're so smart.
Great job.
So the conference call scheduled at 10:30, so we're on the same page. Let's do a pre-call about 9:30 a.m.
I don't understand. Noodles. Or not 9:30.
Cheryl Sandberg here isn't aware time exists before 10:30 a.m. Her generation is a mysterious dead zone after 4 a.m. and before they stroll into work 40 minutes late with their iced coffee. So take that into consideration for scheduling.
It's very difficult for me.
Fine, I'll take the call myself.
Oh, thank you.
Nailed it. Morgan did exactly what was asked of her, nothing more and less. She expects a raise and promotion.
Thanks. Junior Executive Manager of Data Consulting. Is that better than Assistant Manager of Junior Accounts? Yes. Oh my God, thank you. I'm gonna go call my parents.
Now you're getting it.
I need to take work off tomorrow for a mental health day.
Did you know millennials can actually be exceptionally creative with reasons why they need to miss work? These eccentric excuses are normal to them, and they will be to you too.
Sure, that's a normal thing.
Hi, I know I only get 10 days paid vacation, but that wouldn't count a 3-week Argentinian surf spirit quest, right?
No, why would it?
Oh. Why don't you go home early today?
That's it. Any questions? Why even hire millennials? Oh, right. Well, millennials comprise 19% of the workforce. If none of them worked and their parents supported them, it would cripple our economy and China's. So unfortunately, it's your civic duty to employ them. Trust us. We want to fire them all too, but we can't.
So, yes, obviously, it's an overgeneralization, but it illustrates for those of us who are older, the world is changing, and that we also have to embrace the differences. At the place I had worked, most of our board members were 80 years old and older, and they were not really realizing that if we didn't start making changes about how we did business and stop having 8 and 9 hour long meetings, we weren't ever going to really engage the younger members as well. And so we started having projects that have a start, a middle, and an end, and bringing more and more younger members in. And I know starting here that this is a growing effort here as well. So how can we collaborate? So what I've shared with my staff as well is that, you know, I don't want to walk in and make huge changes. I want to work with what we have right now and help enhance what you have right now. I know that we're working with all of the chapters in Canada and the United States, and helping you switch over to a new template. I saw yours. I don't know if yours is actually live yet, that you've marketed it, but yours is really great. I was really impressed with it. And then within the next year, my hope is that we'll roll out some software that chapters can use to report financial matters. The IRS is really cracking down on nonprofits at the national level, and then every state is also going after nonprofits as well. And so we want to make sure that the chapters as well as national are constantly in compliance. And so the launch of that financial software will help make that happen. And we also want to make sure that you all have the resources you need so that you can thrive. I mean, you're obviously already thriving, but I know that a goal of yours is even adding more members, and as much as we can help you with that, we'd love to. Let's see. And, you know, we want to make sure that you know that at National and all walks of life, we really appreciate all of you and your efforts. So last item here is among my staff and then among all of you, I hope that we can really create an entrepreneurial spirit. I call it entrepreneurship because we're not entrepreneurs that will take public works public and have stock. but we can be entrepreneurial within. And so, and the last item was that we are planning a strategic planning meeting at the national level. The group that's organizing that, I know will reach out to the Council of Chapters and our technical committees and our whole wide reach and ask for input. So when we actually have this meeting, we will have had all of your input. And anyone here is welcome to email me too. And we hope you'll all, how many of you will be at PWX? Great. Sign up. So I want to leave you with this last video. And this is kind of about entrepreneurship and how we can look toward the future.
The actual moonshot is wonderful, inspirational, poetic, beautiful, involved great technical challenges, genuine heroism. It brought the world together. But think about the Polynesian island when the dugout canoe decided one day they were going to go that way. No one had ever been that way before. No one even knew there was anything that way before. It was amazing, and it changed the world.
People can set their minds to magical, seemingly impossible ideas, and then through science and technology, bring them to reality. And that then sets other people on fire, then other things that look impossible might be accomplishable.
Galileo is such a hero, and thinking big, and what he represents to me is both curiosity and wonder that humanity had, that he had, that pushed him and drove himself to invent and work on the first telescopes that allowed us to see the moon, and here we are.
These aviation pioneers were figuring it out as they went. No one really knew how to build an airplane, right? No one knew how to fly an airplane. It was amazing and crazy and wonderful, and they wanted to explore.
Many years ago, the great British explorer George Mallory, who was to die on Mount Everest, was asked why did he want to climb it. He said because of his layup.
There's so many challenges in the world, and you can feel daunted by that, and sort of oppressed by that, or you kind of say, how might we think differently about this?
Everyone else in the world is working on the next 10%. If you can be the one that delivers that 10 times improvement, you have a chance to really change things.
If you want cars to run at 50 miles per gallon, fine, you can retool your car a little bit. But if I tell you it has to run on a gallon of gas for 500 miles, you have to start over.
You need a lot of courage in this work, and you need a lot of persistence. One of the things that's really critical is not only having the courage to keep trying every day or thinking big, even if you don't really 100% believe it's possible, like you might think, this might be possible, have the courage to try. That's how the greatest things have happened.
You don't spend your time being bothered that you can't teleport from here to Japan, because there's a part of you that thinks it's impossible. Moonshot thinking is choosing to be bothered by that.
We choose to go to the moon and this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Humanity's progress has been a series of amazing, audacious things, from the very small and personal to the great, big, and grand. And we are a species of moonshots. And to me, that's like the really amazing, poetic, and inspirational thing.
I think our ambitions are a glass ceiling on what we can accomplish.
When you find your passion, you're unstoppable. You can make amazing things happen. It's been true throughout history.
I believe in the human spirit, and I believe that there are always going to be crazy people who will get out of bed one morning and say, you know what, I think I can build a space elevator. I don't still do it. But I think that if we become afraid to take these great big risks, we stop inspiring people. We stop achieving things. And the biggest nightmare scenario is that we won't have what it takes to solve the really big challenges.
So I have to imagine all of you in your line of work have already experienced that. You solve problems where no one else was ever able. And I want to bring that spirit to my own staff at our office in Kansas City, in Washington, and then also to all of you. I mean, my outlook and my perspective is that nothing is impossible. If you've thought about it, let's make it happen.